If you don't watch any other video about water, make sure you watch this one because I'm going to talk about the importance of water filtration or just having safe water. I mean, we all know that we need water. We all know that we can't do without water. I mean, we can go, a couple of weeks, we can go maybe even a month if we really try hard enough without food, not recommended. But I think somebody can make that survive a situation. There's people that have, but you can't make it that long without water. We all know this. It's the most important resource and nutrient in the world and for our bodies, for our health. Literally, water is life. It gives life, it supports life, it creates life. If you just had genetic strands and they didn't have the water, it wouldn't be life. It's the genes with water that creates life. And so let's get into exactly why we have the importance of water, why we're talking about it, and why it's so important right now. So if you haven't seen the news, 3M just got forced to pay $10 billion to clean up 300 cities and all of the contamination and chemicals that were spilled over. You may have heard the term forever chemicals or PFAs. That's exactly what they've been forced and tasked to clean up with. And they're cleaning up after their own mistake, their own contamination that they let from their factories, from spills, and just from runoff from all of the production and products that they are making. Now, clearly 3M is a multi-billion-dollar company, so they have no problems affording it. But still, this is a huge wake-up and an alarm for all corporations. And this is a introduction or the beginning of a new chapter, a new era of our society. I mean, in the past, I don't know about you, but I used to drink out of a hose and it used to be okay. In fact, me and my brother used to talk about how tap water were safe or had safe standards, but that's just not the case anymore. I mean, especially with the recent law changes here in California and in Colorado, this is the second state that now has the toilet to tap program, which essentially they're taking the toilet water and they're recycling it, putting it right back into the tap system. So unless if you like drinking out of the toilet or licking the toilet bowl, you probably want to be mindful that the water coming out of your tap isn't the same water that it used to be. And it's probably not as clean, or it's not the water that you're expecting. And that's the thing that most people don't understand, is that there are different kinds of water. And we'll get into that in future videos. But I think the more important thing for today is understanding why our water and our tap water is so toxic, so contaminated, and why we even need to do anything about it. So the most important thing that I think we need to understand is this concept called PFAs and forever chemicals. These are byproducts of factories, of utilities companies, or of chemical processing, and it's the byproducts. It's the side effects, whatever's left over. And this waste material is just dumped right back into the water supply, and it's not easily filtered. It's not easily purified, and it can't be removed. This, even as it goes through cycles and cycles in the environment, it persists there, and that's why it's so dangerous. It actually affects the soil. It affects the probiotics, the bacteria, not just in the soil, but in our bodies, because these forever chemicals are so small, they actually could go into our cell. The second thing that has been a big alarm, and it was a newspaper article in January that made this a huge statement. It was the University of Colorado that did testing on popular water bottle brands. Now, we may have thought that water bottle was safe and that drinking water bottle was better than, tap water. And it is in most cases. But the thing is we want to be mindful of what kinds of water bottle to drink. So for example, most purified water is just tap water, and it's the same problem. And we'll get into exactly why there's different kinds of filters, what filters work better and what filters don't. There's no perfect filter, but there are some filters that do a lot more than other filters. And you'll find out why filters, some of the cheap ones or some of the conventional ones, are actually some of the common culprits and the reason for increased contamination in our water supply. So we'll get into that in the next video. But for this one, I just want you to understand that these nanoplastics are so pervasive because they're so tiny that they too can get in through the placenta or even the blood-brain barrier and get into places that we just don't want. And this, if you just have a little bit or if you just have a couple of swigs, you may not be able to realize it, and your body is really good at processing all toxins, all chemicals. It's not that we're designed that way, but we have to live in a world where we have to protect ourselves from mishaps, from situations that arise. So our body is incredibly good at blocking ourselves or keeping ourselves healthy. Now, the one thing that it's not good at doing is detecting nanoplastics, and that's because it doesn't register in our body. It's a foreign particle, and it's usually inert. And even some of the more dangerous ones, it's so small that it goes undetected. And that's the reason why it's so dangerous, is it gets into our blood supply, it gets into our body, it clumps up, and it doesn't leave. The forever chemicals and the nanoplastics. So we once knew, in history, it was a wise saying that 99% of illnesses or diseases were waterborne, and we have to watch our water, protect our water. That water is life. I mean, even today, the World Health Organization maintains that 80% of all of our diseases or illnesses are waterborne. I mean, even in the last 4 years, most of the Legionella, the viruses, were waterborne. So why don't we pay more attention to our water? If we have a restaurant safety rating and we got A, B, C, and D, why don't we have a safe water seal at the restaurants, spas, hotels, and the places that we do business at? I mean, I've heard and I've seen videos where the IV bags are being filled up in the hospital, and who knows if that facility is even being filtered. And same thing with dental. I went around to a lot of dental practices and I was shocked. Out of 13 dental practices that I went to, 9 of them admitted that they weren't even filtering their water. I mean, even if they're using distilled water in some of their appliances, based off the responses that I was getting, even if they forgot or they ran out, I wouldn't be surprised if they're using the non-filtered water, because where else are they going to get the water from? So that's it for why the water is so contaminated and why it's so important that we do clean it up and we do get safe water. I really truly believe if we just have safe water that is clean, our bodies know what to do with it. Our bodies love water. Our bodies are made of water. Our bodies want water. And when we get water, our bodies use it to restore our life, to refresh our life, and to rejuvenate ourselves on the cellular level, to rebuild, to restore. I mean, it's all the good things when we get the right water. But when we get toxic water, when we get poison or contaminants in our water, it's really hard for our bodies to work the right way. So I hope that makes sense. I hope you understand, and I hope you'll join along in this journey for safe water. So in the next video, we're going to be talking about how to choose a filter membrane, what kinds of different filter technologies are out there, and what's going to be the best filter to protect your home, your family, your business, and the people around in your neighborhood. Because as you'll see, some of the common or the traditional filter systems are actually the problem. And then we'll get into, the safe water seal, what it's about, what it stands for, why, it was created, and why you should look for it whenever you're out. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next video.